Imagine disappearing for just 1 month. Not physically, but mentally, stepping away from distractions, from unnecessary conversations, from constantly checking what everyone else is doing. No comparisons, no overthinking, no wasting time on things that don't move your life forward. Just you, focused. Now ask yourself, honestly, what could change in your life if, for the next 30 days, you gave all your attention to your growth? Not half of it, not when you feel motivated, but fully. Because the truth is, most people are not stuck because they lack potential. They are stuck because their focus is divided. They give their energy to everything, except themselves. They watch others succeed. They scroll through other people's lives. They react to everything around them. And at the end of the day, they feel like they did nothing meaningful. Not because they are lazy, but because they are distracted. Focus is powerful. Where your attention goes, your energy follows. And where your energy goes, results begin to form. If you could redirect all that scattered energy back toward yourself, even for a short period of time, the change would be undeniable. And that's why 1 month is enough. Not to become perfect, but to become different. Different in how you think, different in how you act, different in how you act, different in how you carry yourself. And when you become different, people notice, not because you tell them, but because your presence changes. Why you not seeing results? Most people want change. They want to improve their life, their mindset, their habits, their future. But their results don't match their intentions, not because they are incapable, but because they are inconsistent. And the root of that inconsistency is distraction. Your attention is constantly being pulled in different directions. Social media, notifications, other people's opinions, endless information that feels important but adds no real value. Every time your focus shifts, your progress slows down because growth requires depth, not just effort, but sustained attention. You cannot build anything meaningful if your mind is constantly jumping from one thing to another. Think about it. How often do you start something with full energy only to lose momentum after a few days? Not because the goal changed, but because your focus did. You get distracted. You lose clarity. You fall back into old habits, and then you start again. This cycle repeats, not because you are failing, but because you are never fully committed for long enough. Real progress comes from consistency over time. When you focus on yourself without interruption, even simple actions begin to compound. Your thinking becomes clearer. Your habits become stronger. Your discipline begins to build. But most people never reach this point because they do not protect their focus. They allow everything to interrupt them. And as a result, they stay in the same place. The problem is not effort. The problem is divided attention. And once you understand that, you realize that change does not require more time. It requires better focus. What happens when you focus for 30 days, when you decide to focus on yourself for 1 month? Something shifts almost immediately. At first, it feels uncomfortable. You are not used to being this intentional. You may feel the urge to check your phone, to seek distraction, to go back to familiar habits. But if you stay consistent, even through that discomfort, something begins to change. Your mind becomes quieter. Without constant noise, your thoughts start to organize themselves. You gain clarity. You begin to understand what truly matters and what does not. This clarity leads to better decisions. You stop wasting time on things that do not contribute to your growth. You start prioritizing actions that move you forward. Small habits begin to form. You wake up with more intention. You manage your time better. You follow through on what you start. And over time, these habits create momentum. Momentum is powerful because it reduces resistance. What once felt difficult begins to feel natural. Discipline no longer feels forced. It becomes part of your routine. And as your actions change, your identity begins to shift. You start seeing yourself differently, not as someone who tries, but as someone who follows through. This internal shift is what creates external results. Your energy changes. Your confidence grows. Your presence grows. Your presence becomes stronger. And without saying anything, people begin to notice, because change is visible, not just in what you achieve, but in how you carry yourself. How to stay focusing on yourself is simple in theory, but difficult in practice, because the world is designed to distract you. So if you want to stay focused for 30 days, you need to be intentional. The first step is reducing distractions, not eliminating everything completely, but creating boundaries. Limit what you consume. Be mindful of where your time goes. If something does not add value to your life, question why it is there. The second step is creating structure. Without structure, focus fades quickly. Decide how you want your days to look. Not perfectly, but with direction. Have. How? A clear idea of what you need to do and commit to it daily. The third step is consistency over intensity. You do not need to do everything at once. You just need to do the right things repeatedly, even on days when you do not feel motivated. Because consistency builds discipline, and discipline builds results. The final step is awareness. Notice when your focus starts to drift. Notice when you feel the urge to go back to old habits. Do not ignore it. Bring your attention back, again and again. This is how focus is trained, not by being perfect, but by returning every time you lose it. And the more you return, the stronger your focus becomes. 1 month may not seem like a long time, but if used correctly, it can change everything. Not because it transforms your entire life instantly, but because it transforms you. Your thinking becomes clearer, your habits become stronger, your discipline becomes real. And once that changes, everything else begins to follow. So if you truly want to shock everyone, do not announce it. Do not talk about it. Just disappear for a while. Focus on yourself. Build in silence. Improve without validation. And when you come back, you will not need to explain anything. Your results will speak for you.